Hello and welcome back to BIO4YOU. Okay, in this video, we're going to learn about ecology, but specifically 2.4 energy flow. Okay, so here are the learning objectives for this subchapter. Alright, explain the following terms: food chain, food web, and traffic levels, and etc. Okay, we're going to look onto each of these in details on the following slides. Yeah. Okay, so food chain, what does it mean by food chain? It is the pathway along which food energy is transferred from one traffic level to another traffic level beginning from the producer. Producer ni yang biasanya plants lah. Okay, yang the photosynthetic organism biasanya. Okay, so means that food chain ni dia adalah transfer of energy, of the food energy daripada satu traffic level ke traffic level yang lain. Apa itu traffic level? Kejap lagi saya akan beritahu. Okay, so through a sequence of organism maknanya one by one. Okay, in which each organism, setiap organism tu dia akan makan traffic level yang di bawah dia, dan dia juga akan dimakan oleh organism yang traffic level atas dia. Okay, kita tengok contoh. So ini adalah contoh dia. So here is the producer. So this is a food chain. So kalau first primary consumer ni, dia akan makan producer, tapi dia akan dimakan oleh secondary consumer. Same goes to this secondary consumer. It will eat or will consume the primary consumer, and it will be eaten or consumed by the third consumer, and the chain goes on. Okay. Okay, so this cartoon is showing you organism of fish being eaten by another fish, by next fish, by next fish, by next fish, and so on. Okay. So types of food chain. There are two food chains. So the first one is grazing food chain, the most common one, and the other one is detritus food chain. Okay. So grazing food chain. Okay, nama pun grazing. Grazing ni biasanya dia akan start with producer. Producer adalah photosynthetic organism, biasanya pokok-pokok. Okay, so begins with producers which are autotrophs, and it goes to primary consumer iaitu herbivore. Alright, and then goes to the secondary consumer, small carnivore, and finally to the tertiary and next finally quaternary consumer, which is the larger carnivore. For example, we begin with plant, okay, and then eaten by worm. Worm is a herbivore, and then eaten by chicken, and last one is eaten by eagle. So this arrow, what does it mean? It's not pointing, just simply pointing from one organism to another organism. This arrow has its mean. Maksudnya consumed by ataupun eaten by. Maksudnya plant eaten by worm or plant consumed by worm. Okay. So this is another example of a food chain. So we can have so for example aquatic food chain dalam air. So we have the algae, and then zooplankton. Okay, zooplankton will eat algae, and zooplankton will be eaten by a small fish, and the fish will be eaten by the bald eagle. So for terrestrial food chain, we have grass, and then eaten by the zebra eaten by the lion. Okay, detritus food chain may not sound so familiar with you guys, but here is what it is. It begins with dead organisms. So biasanya kalau grazing food chain tu dia start dengan plant, dengan tumbuhan hidup lah. Kalau detritus food chain ni dia start dengan haiwan yang dah mati, ataupun benda yang dah mati, ataupun pokok-pokok yang dah mati. Okay, dead organisms. I.e. producers are detritus, the non-living organics. Alright, so primary consumers are detritivores, and finally is eaten by predators. Contoh dia, kita tengok So dead leaves, maknanya daun-daun pokok yang dah mati dimakan oleh wood louse, eaten by wood louse, and then wood louse ni eaten by blackbird. So kita tengok dekat sini tak ada tumbuhan yang terlibat. Memanglah ni dead leaves yang asalnya tumbuhan juga, tapi dia adalah benda yang sudah mati. Okay. So here is here's another example showing you the detritus food chain. So dead leaves eaten by the earthworms, eaten by small bird is eaten by hawk. Okay, dead animals is eaten by maggots. Maggots ni yang ulat-ulat ni, ulat berengga I think in Malay is called, and then eaten by frog, and then frog is eaten by snake. Okay, so this is a direct comparison between grazing food chain and detritus food chain. So for grazing food chain, we begins with producer eaten by the herbivore, and then carnivore, and also the following carnivore. So here is the trophic level: 1 trophic level, 2 trophic level, 3 trophic level, 4 trophic level. So this is the first trophic level, second, third, and fourth trophic level. There is no more beyond than this fourth trophic level. Okay, tak ada. Why? Because energy dia tak sampai. Okay, and for first we begin with, kita namakan sebagai producer. After producer, we call it primary consumer. Consumer yang pertama, and then followed by secondary consumer, followed by tertiary consumer. If the food chain can still support, the next one is quaternary consumer. Okay, so for detritus food chain, so we start with detritus. Detritus ni adalah organism yang akan makan haiwan yang dah matilah, bangkai ataupun pokok-pokok yang dah mati semua kan. Okay, and then is eaten by primary detritus feeder, contohnya earthworms. Okay, and then earthworms is eaten by secondary detritus feeder like this animal. Okay, next after food chain, we're going to learn about food web. Basically, you guys dah belajar dah pun ni dekat your secondary school. Okay, so food chain is rantaian makanan. Food web is jalinan makanan. Tak silap saya kot Malay, saya pun dah lupa dah dia punya translation dia. So but here is what it is. So in one food web, definition here, it is the interconnected feeding relationships in an ecosystem. Dalam satu ekosistem yang sama, dia adalah interconnected feeding relationship. Maknanya yang ini berkaitan dengan ini, macam tu. A particular organism feeds on more than one trophic level. So maknanya ada juga organism yang dia feeds on more than one trophic level. Okay, maksudnya apa? So macam kalau kita tengok contoh, but this diagram is quite small, so maybe later we have a better diagram. I think we look on the next diagram. So this one is much better one. Okay, so we start with the producer, of course. Producer then eaten by goat, and then eaten by this jackal, and by eaten by lion. So we see this lion, if you follow this one food chain, so he is the producer, primary consumer. Lion can be a secondary consumer. On the other hand, on another case, dia boleh menjadi tertiary consumer. Why? Because if you follow this line, this food chain, so this will become the primary consumer. Secondary consumer, lion now menjadi tertiary consumer. So when we are referring to the organism, we are going to refer to on which specific food chain. But food web in a forest, like this example, it just show you the interconnection. Maknanya one food chain can be interconnected with another food chain. So this is just showing you another example of a food web. Okay, but this food web slightly different from the other one because it starts with detritus. Ni black fungus, semua ni kan, semua ni yang dah mati. Okay. Next, trophic level. Baru kita akan bincang specifically trophic level ni apa dia. It is the position of an organism occupies in a food chain. Bukannya food web, in a food chain. So in one food chain, so let's say this is the food chain. We have the grass, mouse, snake, and hog. So the grass will become the primary producer. So dia adalah first trophic level. Next trophic level dia adalah second trophic level. Next adalah third, and last but not least adalah fourth trophic level. Okay, so so for this fourth trophic level, namanya nama spesifiknya adalah tertiary consumer, secondary consumer, primary consumer for the second trophic level, and kalau yang primary producer ni dia adalah producer jugalah. Okay, on the first trophic level dia dipanggil sebagai primary producer. Okay, usually 4 or 5 trophic levels only. So it's very rare actually to reach fifth trophic level tu pun. Okay, because the energy did not support longer food chain. So this is what is meant by trophic level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Look at the flow of the energy being transferred from one organism to another organism. So zooplankton and phytoplankton, apa bezanya? Okay, ini semua dekat dalam marine, dekat dalam laut. Phytoplankton ni dia rupa dia lebih, dia pelik-pelik juga. It's very small. It is not really being able to being observed by naked eyes. Okay, so phytoplankton dia adalah photosynthetic. So dia buat photosynthesis. It is being eaten by slightly larger organism, namanya adalah zooplankton. Zooplankton ni dia not photosynthetic. Dia akan makan yang phytoplankton ni tadi. So ingat phytoplankton photosynthesis. Zooplankton, zoo, bunyi zoo kan macam animal kan. So it's more like an animal like organism. Okay. Energy flow or energy transfer. Okay, so is the passage of energy in one way direction. Mesti one way direction. Dia tak boleh daripada tiba-tiba daripada hog pergi ke snake pula. Tak, it's a one way direction through an ecosystem is known as energy flow. Okey, maknanya pergerakan energi secara satu hala sahaja melalui dalam ekosistem dipanggil sebagai energy flow. Energy flow in an ecosystem based on two laws of thermodynamics. Okay, the first law of thermodynamics are energy cannot be destroyed or created. Maknanya tak boleh buat, dia hanya boleh dipas sahaja. Okay, which comes to the second law, when energy is transferred from one form to another, some of the energy are lost as heat. Maknanya tenaga tu boleh hilang dalam bentuk heat, dalam bentuk haba. Okay. So this is an example of the energy flow. So kita tahu energy tu starts or begins from the sun, so it will be absorbed by the primary producers and then primary consumers, secondary consumer, and go on and so on and so forth. Okay, so along the way we also can see, we can also notice that this dotted line here means that the energy is lost along the way. So in terms of heat, so energy tu hilang dalam bentuk heat. Okay, so we look on the next slide. Okay, energy transfer along food chain. So ini sambungan dia dah. So food chain reflects the transfer of energy in an ecosystem. Maknanya food chain tu menggambarkan perpindahan tenaga daripada dalam ekosistem itu. Original source of energy is from the sun. Macam saya dah mention awal tadi tu, ini daripada sun. So primary producer of photosynthetic organism, contoh macam pokok ni, dia akan trap, dia hanya akan ambil 1 until 5% only of the light energy received for biomass production, i.e. via photosynthesis. So sebenarnya daripada banyak-banyak tenaga matahari yang diberikan sampai pada pokok tu, dia hanya boleh ambil 1 hingga 5% sahaja. Why? Okay, we look onto the next slide. Why it is only 1 to 5% light energy received by the primary producer? Okay, primary producer tu pokok lah. So here are the answers. Okay, number one, we look here. This yellow arrow here means the solar energy which lies or landed upon the leaf, and then some of it when it landed on the leaf, it will be reflected. Sebab daun tu kan dia kan ada waxy cuticle kan, dia licin, so dia akan some of it is being reflected. Okay, transmission maknanya dia just lalu melepasi sahaja, or incorrect wavelength. Maksud incorrect wavelength tu maknanya wavelength energy yang not being absorbed by the plant. Okay, so only 1 until 5% is able to be used, but it's being fixed for photosynthesis, for biomass, maknanya dia buat biomass ni maknanya buat pertambahan new cell ataupun untuk respiration of the plant itself. Okay, so mostly for the answer that you guys need to understand, kenapa hanya 1 until 5% only. Mostly the energy yang 95% itu, yang 99% itu is being reflected, is being transmitted lah, maknanya melalui hanya melepasi dia sahaja, ataupun some of it is in incorrect wavelength. Okay. So, primary consumer or herbivore feeds on plants, i.e. the producer. So, energy is transferred from first trophic level to second trophic level. First trophic level ni is the plant. Second trophic level ni is the animal ni. Ni adalah first trophic level, so this is the second trophic level. So, 90% of the energy is lost to the environment, by which only 10% of energy is transferred to the next trophic level. Apa maksudnya kat sini tadi? Okay, first of all, don't get confused with this 1% at the beginning here. So cahaya matahari 95 or 99% daripada tenaga dia, sunlight itu tadi, is being reflected, dipantulkan oleh pokok tersebut. Hanya 1% sahaja yang diterima oleh pokok tersebut. Bukan diterima, digunakan oleh pokok tersebut, the producer. Then that 1% itu nanti tak kira jumlah itu berapa. Daripada jumlah itu, hanya 10% saja akan being passed to the next trophic level. Maksudnya gitu. Okay. Mana lagi 90% yang lain? Lost to the environment. Maksudnya pokok tu sendiri akan menghasilkan dia punya dia akan gunakan untuk kegunaan dia sendiri. So dan juga lost to the environment, maknanya sama dia mati pun nanti dia akan lost. Okay, so transmitted sebagai heat dan sebagai untuk respiration dia. Okay, so 90% tu akan lost ke environment. Hanya 10% yang pergi ke sini, and daripada sini hanya 10% saja pergi ke frog. Daripada frog ni hanya 10% saja yang pergi ke snake. So there is energy loss from herbivores through respiration, excretion iaitu urine, dan juga egestion iaitu buang oleh feces lah. Okay, iaitu najis. Energy loss in respiration can't be transferred to other living organisms, but energy loss in feces and urine can be transferred to detritivores or decomposers. Walaupun najis dan urine tu kan masih lagi juga boleh dipas kepada haiwan pengurai ataupun haiwan decompose ini. Okay. So we look here from the solar energy, hanya 1% digunakan oleh bukan digunakan, yang menjadi di-assimilate, yang diambil oleh producer, oleh plants, and then most of it lost melalui haba, dan kalau dia mati, pokok dia mati, dia akan decompose by the bacteria, fungus dan sebagainya lah. If the plant is being eaten or consumed by the consumers, herbivore or carnivore, next is carnivore. So along the way also lost as heat, along the way also lost as heat over here as well. Okay. So maknanya banyak tenaga yang akan hilang. Okay, so yang ni kalau the food is eaten by the herbivore, so it will be consumed. Biomass ni maksud dia ni buat sel dia lah, kulit dia, darah dan apa-apa yang perlu. Okay, urine and feces tu keluar ikut belakang. Okay, respiration and heat loss tu akan being dissipated. Dissipated tu akan disebarkan. Okay, maknanya hilang macam tu lah ke environment dia. Then we look at the secondary consumer feed on primary consumer. So this is the secondary consumer feed on the primary consumer. Energy is transferred from second to third trophic level. So this is first trophic level, secondary trophic level, second trophic level, third trophic level, fourth trophic level. So tertiary consumer feed on secondary consumer. So ini adalah tertiary consumer, yang ini dia akan feed on the secondary consumer. Ini adalah primary consumer. Energy transfer continue and it is limited until fourth or fifth trophic level only. So maknanya selepas daripada snake ni, biasa sudah tak berlaku lagi energy transfer tu. Sebab apa? Sebab energy yang being transfer tu dah tinggal sangat sedikit dah untuk dipas-pas. Macam tu. So dia tinggal sikit saja lagi. So ni kita ambil contoh pengiraan ni daripada sun. The sun is the original source of energy in the form of light energy for the food chain. So dia bagi katalah 100,000 units of energy. So daripada 100,000 units of energy ni, plants only capture approximately 1% of the available light energy from the sun for photosynthesis. Maknanya daripada 100,000 ni, hanya 1,000 units of energy, joule of energy sahaja yang menjadi capture by the plant. So from the plant, daripada 1,000, hanya 100 sahaja yang sampai kepada herbivore. Daripada herbivore ni, daripada 100 unit ni, hanya 10 joule energy sahaja yang sampai kepada carnivore. Sebab tu nak sampai daripada lepas carnivore ni, nak pergi ke fourth trophic level tu dah macam dah hampir tak adalah. So ayat dia adalah the energy is not sufficient to support the next trophic level. Maknanya tenaga tu tak cukup untuk support next trophic level. Okay. So macam mana carnivore ni nak perlu dapatkan tenaga yang cukup? Maknanya kena makan dengan banyak lah. Itulah dia. So only 10% yang being passed. Mana pergi 90% yang lain? Yang macam saya dah tunjukkan slide sebelum ni. Lost as heat, used for biomass, lost through urine and feces. Okay. Dissipate through heat. Dah saya sebut tadi kan. Energy transfer along the food chain. So macam lah 1% saja sampai dekat plants. Daripada plants sampai hanya 10% sahaja kepada primary consumer, another 10%, another 10% sampai dekat fourth trophic level ni tinggal sedikit sahaja. So why food chain does not consist more than 5 trophic levels? Ni keep on jawapan yang saya keep on cakap daripada tadi lah. Large amount of energy is lost during each transfer as heat or via respiration, excretion ataupun movement. Itu pergerakan dia lah, pergerakan haiwan tu tadi. Each trophic level received less energy than the level below it. Okay, after the fourth or fifth trophic level, only small amount of energy is left. Nampak tadi kan macam 10 joule, tinggal 10 unit sahaja lagi. The energy is insufficient to support the organisms in the next trophic level. Maknanya sampai ke 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th tu dah tak logik, dah tak ada dah. Okay. So limiting the number of members in the higher trophic level. Sebab tu dekat atas higher trophic level tu dah tak banyak lagi organism lain. Become more unstable, therefore can be threatened with extinction. Maknanya takkan tidak berlaku lah. Okay. So we look here, for example, we have here 1 million. Am I doing right? Yeah, 1 million joule of sunlight. Only 10,000 received of 10,000 of joule received by the plant or being assimilated, i.e. being used by the plant. And then from that 10,000, only 1,000 is being able to be passed to these snails. Okay, and then from this snail, only 100. Okay. Able being passed to this platypus ke ni, okay, or beaver, okay. So macam platypus, macam kalau platypus belakang dia flat kan. So next daripada 100 ni only 10 joule is able to be passed to this owl. So sangat sikit, lepas sampai makan owl dah tak dapat banyak tenaga tu, okay. So less trophic levels, less energy loss. So maknanya lebih efisien lah. Okay. So the reason for reduction of energy at each trophic level, okay, starting pada producer, some of the material is not consumed ataupun inedible seperti bones, hooves. Hooves ni apa tu bahasa Melayu? Alah, kalau tapak kaki kuda tu kan ada tebal kat muka kaki tu kan. Tapak kaki kuda tu lah. Saya lupa bahasa Melayu dia apa, hooves. Kalau dekat lembu pun ada juga tu kan. So maknanya dia nak cakap kat sini, reason kenapa hanya 10% yang sampai kepada next trophic level, tak semuanya sampai, sebab sebahagian daripada material tu tak boleh dimakan pun oleh next animal tu. Okay. Some of the material is not digested, maknanya tak boleh didigestkan. Contohnya seperti Cellulose tu tak boleh digest oleh perut kita. Energy is lost through excretion, urine, sweating, dia berpeluh, and also ejection, feces, najis dia. Energy is lost through respiration. Okay, maknanya bila dia bergerak, bila dia buat aktiviti dia akan lose, and also lost as heat, maknanya hilang sebagai haba. Okay, that will be all for this part of the video 2.4. Okay, hope you guys benefit most of this video. Okay, please do like and subscribe this channel. Okay, thank you and